This is the market that burns agents out. We've been talking a lot about this on this channel, but here today, I'm here to tell you that we're still standing, we're still here, and you don't have to quit. There are other ways to get through this slower, kind of everything's difficult market. And you have to understand that those remain standing at the end will be light years ahead and gaining market share on the other side of this lull that we're experiencing. We're gonna talk about all that and more. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Kane with the Real Estate Agent Playbook, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about not sugarcoating this. I help agents all the time work through the kind of tough spells, whether it's just getting in the industry and growing a business based on sphere-based referrals, or taking your business from 10 deals a year to 20 to 30. That's what I help agents do. So if you're interested in learning more about that, book a Realtor game plan call below, but let's get into it. Let's not sugarcoat it. This market is tough. Most agents are looking up at their pipeline and really concerned about what this looks like. As we head into a slower seasonality in most markets, as the summer selling season is coming to an end, agents are looking at it and it's becoming more and more obvious that that transactional focus is definitely something that agents are focused on. And if the transactions are harder, they're not flowing in like they did over the last 5 years, you're not alone. Transactions are down. We may finish this year with less transactions than last year, and we all know that that is the case. So let's be real and let's sit back and understand that we can't throw everything out with, all the relationships we build and all that, relational building and long-term clients and all of that. We can't just throw that out and become transactional. This is the number one reason that agents fail, is it becomes so transactional. And I get it, you have to put food on the table, but that's why multiple streams of income, and when the market's great, to, finance your budget the right way and understand that these times come. We are in a consumer-driven market in real estate, and sometimes they're a little bit tougher than others. Or you can look at your options and understand that there are ways to, even out your income no matter what the market is in your hyper-local area. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But as for the market, what's the shift look like, right? What are winning agents doing? Agents are still closing deals. I see it on Facebook and Instagram. Well, the truth is that those agents are still closing deals. They're probably not closing as many as you would think. They're just really good at social media and, capturing their day and all of it. But yes, some agents are absolutely crushing it. And I will tell you that the market shift has been, somewhat slow, a slow burn here in my Denver market. But stepping back and looking at it and understanding exactly what's going on. What have we done to get in this situation as real estate professionals? Have we had those conversations with our clients, right? So here's the deal. Focus on those relationships. Even if they bought a house at the top of the market and, it's come down a little bit, or they're going through, a hard time financially, or maybe a life change that, could involve them putting a house on the market that maybe they paid a little bit too much for. We need to have those conversations and be a resource. If we run and hide, or we, avoid those conversations, we are doing our clients a disservice and basically ruining that relationship that we did. Most people understand that this is not your fault. It was a choice that, they made. And if you educated them along the way with the comps and all of that, they need you right now for guidance. How do we get out of this? What are our other options? And so turning a blind eye, giving them a cold shoulder, or just not reaching out when they may be in a tough spot is the number one way to terminate that relationship. And we don't want to do that. We want to be a resource to our clients in the good times and the bad. So number one is they're reaching out and they're staying a resource regardless of the situation, and understanding that the market is not their fault. Next, they're owning a lane. They're staying in a lane and they're focusing on that. They're focusing on nurturing that. The niches are absolutely there. Also, looking at the market, finding the winners in the market. What do we need to do to make sure that we're ready, right? The next big real estate movement is this giant generational wealth transfer as the silver tsunami downsizes and moves their wealth to the next generation. So what are we doing to prepare? These are people that are going to need resources. Are you taking this time with business a little bit slower to set up programs, get designations or education, and start to build relationships with those industry partners that might very well be in the thick of it in the next, real estate boom, so to speak. And that's something that we need to step back and look at. So yes, stay in your lane, own that lane, but what lane are you going to be in 3 to 5 years? Who's going to be winning in the market in 3 to 5 years? Are we able to set ourselves up for success now? Right? A lot of people did this on the REO train when, foreclosures came on and, they got ahead of it, right? They were doing things, they're building those relationships, even when there was 1 or 2 distressed sales in their market, because once that faucet turned on, those guys did thousands of deals. And so you have to look at those things that might be coming up in your market and educate yourself properly and position yourself properly. So that's the next piece, right? Staying in contact, being a resource, owning your lane that you're in currently and staying in it, but also looking at what that lane change might be as the market shifts. The next piece is proximity to mentorship, to accountability. This is something that's absolutely key. If you're surrounded by the negativity and you're not trying to look at different creative ways to grow that business or to solve the problems that your clients are currently facing, that's a problem. And it's hard when you go to the office and everybody's super negative. Find the positives that you can, continue to work, do the work, and be that resource as you go. But if it's all negative and that's the problem, proximity is power, and the people that you're surrounded with are likely probably the reason that you are in the situation you're in. If it's great, you have great mentorship, great accountability, great relationships, you're probably doing okay. If you're, struggling, you're on an island, you don't have that piece, it might be time to look at your surroundings and change them. If that's the case, I'm surrounded by thousands of wonderful agents who look at the market, understand that we don't control what we don't control, and how are we going to level up? How are we going to move through this? How are we going to come together as a community and absolutely dominate as, we want to do? So if that's you and you need a proximity change, let's reach out, reagentwolfpack.com. We can talk about it. We can see if it's a good fit for you. No pressure, no obligation, but I would love to have that conversation. And I know that if this is you that I'm talking to, where you're like, dang, it's like a graveyard in there. Everybody's super negative. No one knows what to do. We're talking about the market. We're playing the blame game. That's who I want to come alongside and flip that script for you. Absolutely. And then the truth is, yes, my sales are down. Certainly have some listings that are sitting on a little longer, have less under contract than I usually do, but I still do have some, and I'm blessed to have clients, that are working through this market with me as well. And the reason that it's not a panic, why my kids are still going to be homeschooled, and why, my wife's doing what she's doing, helping out with the kids and managing our rentals, is exactly that, residual income, right? Our rentals are still doing fine. People need places to live. That's a cash flow source that we absolutely have due to being blessed with the lower interest rates and, managing our situations well when we purchased and refinanced and so on. But also at EXP, I have revenue share, right? It doesn't matter what market agents are in. I have agents in 36 states and 4 countries. So yes, the market is a little bit different here than it is in, Pennsylvania or Turkey for that matter, or wherever else I have agents. And so the market is moving at different speeds in different hyperlocal markets, allowing that revenue share to keep coming in at a pretty lucrative rate. And so if you don't have those opportunities and you don't have those partners who are out there and, maybe faster moving markets or whatever, this is something that you are certainly tied to that market in more ways than you even think. Because as, I expand and I grow that business, there's certainly opportunities to kind of shield yourself from these hyperlocal market dips that we see, and understand that every market is a little bit different. So transactions are still happening and so on. Some agents in super affordable markets are still closing deals. When they close deals, they get a little bit of EXP's money. Couldn't be better there. Equity ownership in the company. If your company is publicly traded, how is that going? right? Well, I know for me, it's definitely, a nest egg that's growing at a six-figure, it's at a six-figure rate now, and who knows where it will go. But ultimately, it's a nest egg. And that's something that having ownership in the company that you work for is super important as you go. So all of these different ways that I've set myself up by picking what brokerage to be at, by holding on to rentals and taking that risk as, a landlord through maybe the tighter years before I was in real estate, when I was in education and my wife was in, education, and all of those things, we had those rentals that was a little bit of a risk. Yes, we had tenants, we took care of them. And, as we move through the different markets and the changing markets, we upgraded them. Just like we do for our agents, we upgrade their experience, we try and add things as we go. And so we're managing these residual or, other income streams as we go. And it's not just, sit back, kick our feet up and get mailbox money. That's just not the case. As the markets change, so does, the intensity in which, the income comes in. And so we have to be understanding and set ourselves up for success in the good times, because this is obviously a cyclical market, right? And then find systems that scale, right? If I'm able to take my current income and I'm able to, focus my energies in other areas by delegating responsibilities or bringing on listing coordinators and things like that we're doing actually right now, then these systems are able to scale. You're able to pull back, you're able to play the CEO role more, but you have to have the opportunities. You have to have these other income streams that aren't directly affected by your hyper-local market. So if you're interested in that, you want to set yourself up for the next market downshift, let's have a conversation. No obligation, no pressure, but I'm here to tell you that setting yourself up with further investment properties, a different brokerage that offers multiple streams of income, or anything in between, I'm here to help. Book a game plan call with me. Let's set you up. Maybe you're doing well right now, but you do see some writing on the wall that things might change in your market. Well, let's have a conversation, because I want more than anything to serve you as an agent, walk alongside you, and make these life-changing moves right here, right now. And if a brokerage switch isn't in your cards, there's no pressure, right? That's not what it's about. It's about truly helping you set up the life that you desire and deserve for you and your family. So let's have a conversation. I would love to help. But if you're in that situation, you feel burned out, you're surrounded by negativity, it's time to have a conversation. Reach out. Zero pressure, like I said. No recruiting. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what works for you. I can't wait to chat. We'll see you next time.